Well, we're quite used to doing things twice, aren't we?
Yeah, it's more thorough. Hey folks, welcome back. It's a big barn build. Today, a load more stud walls have gone in. I'm going to share with you what we've been up to in the last 3 days, along with some progress in the kitchen and the wiring and all that good stuff. So stick around and let's take a look. Oh, blue skies. Looks quite good on camera. So like the other tapes, this one's split release. So it's got one section, so you can sit that onto the window frame first, and then we can fold all of this around the outside and stick all that on after. Which means you don't end up sticking it where you don't want it. So after all of the windows going in a few weeks ago, today we're finally getting around to doing all the taping, the sealing, and all the important weatherproofing, because it's been sunny for about a month, but it's going to change next week, so we want to make sure that everything is nice and weather tight. So I'm going to walk you through what we've got to do and some of the products we're using. Now some of this is actually optional, and the window company that fitted them don't always, well, they don't get really involved in this side of it, the weatherproofing. However, there's ways you can do this cheaper, just using DPC and things like that. We decided to use the proper tapes because I just figured that the amount of money that we had to spend on the windows, you may as well go the whole hog, and for the extra fibre a window or whatever it might be, it's worth using the proper tapes. So first up, on the second half of the windows, we installed the sill flashing tape before the window. On the other side, which we're doing today, we're installing it afterwards. Now we did show it in the install videos, but this is a great product. It's really expensive, but it's super flexible and rubbery. You peel off a section, you stick it up, well in this case we just put it so it just laps over. Now on top of all this is an aluminium sill which projects all the way out to our brick. So this is really secondary defence. You might get a bit of condensation form on the underside of the sill or something like that, but either way we want to protect the actual timber frame of the building. So we put that down first and lapped it up the sides. Now what we need to do next is then carry some tape between the window frame and our membrane, which will kind of just weather tight everything. 'Cause at the moment this is as weatherproof as it needs to be, and the window frame, we've got that expanding foam tape in there which actually creates a very tight seal, but it's not completely 100% from driving rain. And once we've done this stage, we'll look at the inside taping, because that's in some respects even more important, because that's where the air tightness happens. But as far as the outside, it's all about weather for now. Right, this window here was installed directly onto the membrane folded in, which is fine, but that means we're going to use this afterwards. And I think, having done both ways, I think this is a better way, because if this is going underneath, this is the sill flashing tape, if this is sitting underneath the window frame, then you've still got to seal the window frame to this with silicone or a second tape, whereas if we use this, we can fold that up, we can stick this section onto the sill carrier, which is that block underneath, and then we've got a continuous flashing that's taking from the window all the way through over the membrane, and then our sill will sit over that anyway. Quite forgiving, this stuff. You can work it around the corners, because here, I'll get a close up in a minute, it's going along to the corner. It's got to come back up because that sill block underneath is set back, and then stick to the face of this frame, and then our side tapes will cover over that anyway. So there you go, it's on that back block there, and then you can come back up under and onto the face of the frame, and then fold it around here. So and that's all one piece, no cuts or relief cuts or anything, or no need to pinch it up.
Going on with it? It looks short. Take a check. Hey? Got quite a lot of nails. Well, we're quite used to doing things twice, aren't we?
Yeah, it's more thorough. I like the fact it's like, it's quite off.
I didn't even know I was looking. Is that what you mean?
Firstly, apologies for the lack of filming during some of these stages. I just kind of figured you'd probably seen enough stud work. However, we have now got a couple more walls up here finished. So we've got this room here framed up now, which is like an airing cupboard. Bathroom, we can't do any of these walls running the length of the building until we've got our ceiling tracking in, like the noggins. As far as here, we've rebuilt this from our temporary one. We should have just done it properly to start with. So this is going to be the handrail running along. It's going to be a solid wall, sheeted with ply on the outside, all the way down, and then continuous round to the ceiling below. And that's going to give it some extra strength so we can get some blocking in that steel, and then we'll oversheet that with plasterboard. So that is going to be our solid handrail. We've gone a little bit higher than it needs to be in a domestic setting, but I think it's just a bit safer. So on top of here, we're going to have a nice, so this will be painted, and then a nice simple bit of timber on top there, probably ash, which will carry on down into the staircase, to be confirmed. So we've got to do another one of these on the left hand side here, because this is just our temporary one. Stud wall went in there, plus we've also done the big wall on the end of the master bedroom. So now when you're down in the void, sort of the double height space, you'll be able to kind of picture what it looks like. So you'll be able to look up, got that wall there. All that's going on that wall is flew from a freestanding wood burner, and then that's kind of nice bright white because we've got the Velux there. We want to kind of bring as much light down as possible. While we've been doing that, James has been here carrying on with the first fix. So he's got wiring and lighting and stuff going on in the annex. It was his birthday today, so he's left a bit earlier. Maybe I'll get a bit of film tomorrow, but this is the bathroom all done. So downlights in here, light for the mirror, heated mirror. I think we went 4 spots in this room, sockets around the walls, boxes in ready. So the way we've done it, we obviously set out the battens on the wall at the correct height. So now what happens is when James needs to come in and fix these back boxes on, he can use penny washers and screws and fix them to our batten, and he's not actually putting anything into the OSB or into the wall, so we're not compromising any of our airtightness or vapor barrier, which works well, and they're nice and solid. They also, these are 30, I don't know what they are, 32 mil, something like that, these battens. So these boxes, I imagine, are 35, so they stick out a fraction, which is quite handy. Means when we come to fit our plasterboard, we can offer the plasterboard up, give it a bump, and then when we remove it, we'll be able to see where this metal has dented the back and cut it out. So they are spaced for a king-size bed with a light switch. We've just done a light switch on one side of the bed here, so you can turn it off. So when I'm old and frail, living in the annex, I won't have to get out of bed. Now remember, this room here, which is the basically our in-house screw fix, this is no longer going to be a bedroom. We're going to leave it open, so it's going to be like a lounge, games room, something or other. And therefore, we are going to not put this wall in here. So we've done the lighting in a way that it treats this as one room rather than a hallway in a room. And I think that's okay. It's not the end of the world. If we ever did want a second bedroom here, it wouldn't be too hard to just patch and move those lights over and have 2 downlights in the hallway. Downlights, mirror, switch. Done. Cupboard. Gonna have the consumer unit up here for the annex, so it's on a separate breakers, just so it doesn't disrupt the main house. Simple light in there, and light switch inside the door. And then the messiest room in the building right now is the kitchen lounge area of the annex. So all the lights are decided. Kitchen's going along that wall, and in that corner we've kind of left a bit of slack in the cables so we can decide that at a later point. So James has been busier than me today because I've been jumping between farm jobs as well. And then finally, we got ourselves a pantry, almost. So there we go, after plenty of head scratching. We've actually gone right back to our original plan, which was to put a full width pantry against that wall, not do the corner idea, and therefore we've gone back to having our underfloor heating exactly where we wanted it. We didn't want to run underfloor heating anywhere where there was food storage, i.e. the whole of that strip. So we left that 1.5 metre strip all the way along, including this end curve. So it all worked out all right. Now one concern was that coming out that far was going to make the kitchen too small, but actually even when we're using this wall here for units, we've got a fridge freezer to go there, some built-in ovens. it still leaves well over a metre between units and the island on both sides, well, all the way around. So that is pretty much how we want it. Otherwise, we would have ended up with, you know, 4 or 5 paces between the side worktops and the island, which just doesn't work. So actually it's benefited us by doing that. We've also switched, or we've made sure that the door is in the middle. Now, one of my thoughts and designs and plans for the last sort of 10 years of dreaming has been to have a concealed door through to a walk-in pantry, like a hidden door in a bank of units. But in that 10 years of thinking about it, it appears that everyone's doing that, and it's kind of been there, done that. So we figured, actually, why would you want to hide away the pantry when you're going to go to all the effort of making it nice? The plan is therefore to have this 1.2 metre wide doorway. We can either make it into an arch or have some nice glass doors on it. We might even leave it open to start with. We've got full depth worktops going in the back of there, deep pine shelves all the way to the ceiling, and I think it can actually become a feature rather than something that's hidden away. The idea is not for it to be a cupboard, it's for it to be an extension to the kitchen. So we'll be able to come into this space, and even with a full depth worktop here, we've still got nearly 900 of working space. So as long as we're only hanging aprons or something on that wall, actually, by the time we've got wraparound worktop at the end, all the way along, most of the workspace we're able to stand a decent distance apart. We also decided that we were going to make this a regular height ceiling in the pantry, so instead of having a really, really tall kind of column ceiling, we've brought that out. So there's a bit of loft storage space for upstairs, and then it will be vaulted in the main kitchen. So then all that leaves is the curved wall on the end. And as you saw me mapping out, we decided on a 900mm radius, which is the same the other end, so they kind of mirror each other. But rather than having the end of the pantry with a curved wall, which would be quite hard to shelve out and things like that, I've actually decided on making this its own thing with a door, its own little room. Whether I put a regular height ceiling here or make some sort of feature vaulted, I don't know what it would be. It's like a TARDIS. But the idea being that you can have drinks and glasses and stuff in here. So it's its own little thing. And rather than giving some plasterer the challenge of skimming an internal curve all the way to the ceiling, we've got plenty of reclaimed timber that we could probably do like a barrel wall sort of looking thing inside some vertical cladding, make it a little feature rustic thing away from the perhaps more clean and modern rest of the building. Splinter. Now I realise, as always, we've been flip-flopping around in this video between taping, airtightness, weatherproofing, stud walls, pantries, and dreamscaping about bloomin' bars. So that was just one of those weeks where we were trying to tick off a bunch of jobs. We're pretty much there upstairs as far as stud walls go, that end of the building. This end we can't do too much more. Right up above those gable end windows, we've got a lovely little family of robins. So they're hopefully going to fledge soon, and then we can let them out through that end window. But they're quite fun to have around, chirping away, and they don't seem to mind us chipping away below them. But we've left all the stud walls that end. It's not like we were pushing on to get them done anyway. So there we go, we've got our blank canvas. Wiring got to go in here in the next week or so. This was the last bit to wire downstairs. James has done everything else, but obviously there were a lot of question marks around the kitchen. But we've got it all sorted now. So exciting times. We can pretty much move outside knowing that we've got to a good point in here. Before I go, let's talk bricks. Now I can't remember what samples we showed here. I know we put it up on Instagram. We had 2 different brick samples. One, we felt there were too many darks in there. This one here is a far better match, and you can hang this on our old cowsheds and parlour buildings down in the lower yard. And if you didn't have the black, it would almost disappear. It's like camouflage. Now there is one thing to bear in mind, which is the next batch of these is being made in early July or mid-July. So there is 65mm, which is metric, sort of modern height bricks, are not going to be ready until then. That might not be an issue. However, they do have the imperial size, which is actually only 68mm. I think there is a 70 something as well. But the 68mm is ready and waiting. So we could go for that, because bear in mind we haven't got any brick ties or brick coursing, or block coursing I should say, to match. We haven't got any existing bricks to tie into, we are putting all of our brick ties onto our battens wherever we want them. So we could go with imperial sizes and it shouldn't really matter. And equally, I kind of like the height of them. Plus, because they're a reclaimed tumbled brick, there's a bit of variation anyway. So we might go for those that there are in stock, and we've worked out that if we lay them on a 9mm bed, actually it ends up perfect coursing for our windows. So unless any of you brickies or bricklaying DIYers have any issue with that, we might go for imperial sized bricks and then adjust our bed down by 1mm, if that. No, I think it works out 1mm exactly, to then account for coming up to our windowsill height without any cutting or any messing around down at the bottom of the footing. Decision to be made this week, so we've got time. Let me know what you think. I don't think I'm going to carry on. I know that there are endless brick matching specialists and suppliers, but you know, life's too short to just constantly be comparing and looking at samples. It's like picking paint. At the end of the day, get it up on the wall. And I think we've done enough research that we're happy enough with these. I'm just going to go with it. The price is fine, and that's all that matters. And they're already made a county or so away. But there we go. That might be the last you see of inside for a little while, because fingers crossed, we're going to be working on the oak, then we'll be working on the brick, and then it'll be on to cladding. So things will chip away, the rain will come, and we'll jump in and do a few jobs. But I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any questions about what on earth was going on in this video or previous videos, leave it down in the comments. I will try and get through them. Some people saying I don't reply to all the comments. Typically these videos go out on a Sunday evening. Meanwhile, I'm trying to manage the farm, livestock, customers, kids' bedtimes. So I do get to them. It's probably just not exactly when you post your comment, but I try my best. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself. And we'll see you next time. And I've actually just been doing one of those jobs. I had to gather Bruce in from the field. You're off on your holidays, aren't you? This is Bruce, our boar, and he's had his way with our 3 sows, and he's off to Wales now for a bit of loving, and then he's off somewhere else after that. What a life, eh? What a life. You're going to come back with a big smile on your face and probably about a foot taller.